Here are my pears off my own tree this year. I am so excited about that. Okay, we're just starting here with some filtered water and a couple tablespoons of lemon juice. And my melon baller. Yes, you will need a melon baller, okay? And I just dip that in a little bit of lemon water as well. And that will help when I'm doing this. That will really help keep this from getting brown. And don't these look beautiful? Look how nice and shiny that is. This came off my tree. And remember what I told you about pears? You press up here around the neck, and if it's soft, it is ready. All right? And pears ripen best off the tree. In the refrigerator, you can probably get about a week, week and a half out of them. It'll slow down the ripening process. But if they're super ripe, then you have about 1 to 3 days. All right? So we've washed our fruit and we're ready to go. And since this came off the tree, I've noticed a few of them have some little spots on them here. Still usable. And this right here would be considered over-ripened. That's a bruise that over-ripened. But the other half of this would still be good. If you have any tips for canning pears below, we would love to hear them, okay? Again, do not use your best tea towels for this. And this is my favorite one. So what I do here is I just cut off the top like this. And I'm just going to go ahead. It smells delicious. Now right here's a bug hole. We can still use the fruit. We're just going to have to cut around that part here in a minute. And then of course you can keep all your scraps, and you can use your scraps for pectin and making your own homemade pectin. The small end, I'm going to dip that in the lemon juice, and I'm just going to slice that out just like that. Pears are one of those things that turn quickly, and we're just slipping that pear down inside the lemon water. And then we're just going to cut this little piece right here off. Dip it down in the water. Dip that melon baller into the juice. We're going to be using some apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, the organic by White House. Make sure you shake it up. It's got the mother vinegar there on the bottom, so make sure you shake it up really well. My pears in my crock pot, or if you like, you can add apple cider, okay? But I'm adding the apple cider vinegar. Pour in your 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. So we could either add the sugar later and just get these cooked down, or we can add some of the sugar now. I'd say that there's 6 pounds of pears in here. I put that much in. I think I'm just going to do 1.5 cups for now. And I'm going to write that down so I know how much to add later. I'm going to give that a little bit of a toss. This will just help. I mean, it's going to get brown either way, but this will help kind of sweeten up some of these pears that came off my tree that weren't so sweet yet. Alright. Okay, 3 tablespoons of honey, and I'm not even measuring this out. 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's enough for now. The 1/2 tablespoon to a tablespoon of lemon or lime juice. We're going to put in a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, and I really like this apple pie spice, so I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there. A couple dashes of cloves. I know this seems odd, but I like pumpkin pie spice. A 1/4 teaspoon of canning salt. That's it right there. It just makes the sugar. Somebody says, doesn't salt and sugar cancel each other out? No, actually salt really helps draw out the flavors and the fluids in the pears. I'm out of nutmeg, but I'm sure it was in the apple pie spice. So a pinch of nutmeg. And then I'm also going to put in some cardamom, some ground cardamom. Just a little bit. You can definitely overspice it. It's just, I like it when it's cooking. I like the smell of it, just filling up my house with this beautiful, beautiful smell. It smells so wonderful. So I'm just going to toss it in here together really well, just like this. Doesn't that look delicious? We're going to be water canning this in 1/2 pint jars, clean, boiled, hot. Remember, hot food, hot product, hot jars. So we're going to be putting this into the canner when we get closer to the time of canning this up, and we'll get the jars nice and hot. They've already been washed. And what we're going to do next is we're just going to plug it in. okay? I'm hoping hubby gets here soon so he can help me get the vinegar in. I mean, it'll be fine just like it is, but I'm going to take it over here, plug it in. I'm going to put on the top. I have steam vents in my top. If you don't, then don't lock the top down. But I do, so therefore I can lock the top down. But if you like, you can just put the top on like that and not lock it down. Okay? Either way, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to take this over the stove because that's a hot surface. I don't want to do it on this countertop. And I'm going to plug it in. And I'll see you back here in about 6 hours. And we're going to mash this with the potato masher. Then we are going to probably cook it maybe another 2 or 3 hours. Use the emulsion blender on it. I want this to get nice and dark. I like my pear butter to be nice and dark. If you want to leave it chunky, then just use the potato masher and do not use the emulsion blender, or at least not as much. I like mine pretty smooth, like I like my jam, so, and like my apple butters and stuff, and I like this really thick. I don't like it thin, I like it really thick. So we're really going to go to town on cooking this down. It'll be probably sometime late tonight or tomorrow morning before this is actually considered good enough for me to can it up. Okay? And this gets water bath canned. Half pints, 15 minutes. Pints, 25 minutes. Okay? We're going to take this over the stove. Alright, so our pears are in the crock pot. Like again, you can do this in the oven at 325 to 350 degrees in the oven, and you can just let this simmer for probably about 5 or 6 hours and get a nice thick pear butter. However, we're doing this crock pot style. That's right, we're doing this crock pot style. And so again, if your crock pot calls for it, do not latch your lid down. Alright, don't do that. Mine, however, doesn't matter. I've got the vents and I'm using mine according to my directions. So we want to start this out on low for 1 hour, then we're going to bring it up to high for the other 5 to 6, and then we're going to come back and check on this, okay? So low for an hour, high for 5 to 6, and we'll be back here then. This is going to be so delicious. Leave me a comment below if you've ever made pear butter, or what you like to make with pears. My daughter loves candied pears. So, but this was all the pears that came off my first year's pear tree, off my own orchard. So, so I'm excited about that. Okay, here we have it. It has been going for almost 7 hours. Let's just kind of take a look at it here. Let me get a spoon here that's white so you can see it a little better. There we go. It's really starting to darken up. It's actually a really pretty brownish red color. Look at the coloring in that. Isn't that gorgeous? And trust me, we're going to hit this with a blending stick, emulsifier blending stick, and we're going to get this nice and smooth now that these are softened up. And we're going to make this, you can keep it a little chunky, just zip it a few times and keep it chunky if you like, but I like mine more smooth, not quite as chunky. So, so I'm going to hit it with the emulsifying blender, and then we're going to cook the rest of that vinegar and the rest of these liquids from the fruit itself down, and we're going to make this like a nice, really thick, the pectin in here will actually thicken this itself, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the lid off now, and we're going to let this start cooking and let the steam start coming out of this and start thickening this. Thicken that up, didn't it? Okay, so this is the consistency after 7 hours on high in the crock pot. With the first 40 to 45 minutes it was on low. We're getting a nice texture to that. And now we're going to let this thicken up from the pectin that's in the pears. Alright? The nice thing about pears and apples is they both have a lot of fruit pectin. And that's what we use to thicken up jams and jellies, is the pectin from our lemons, limes, you know, anything that has a lot of pectin in the skin. And pears and apples, they're really good about that. So I saved my pills that didn't have any of the bug little things in it. I saved those in a bag in the freezer. And I'm just going to keep freezing until I get about a gallon of those. See, I've left a few chunks. That's fine. As a matter of fact, let's cold plate this and see how it works. What we're going to do is take something like this, and you're going to put it in the freezer with a couple pieces of ice in it, drop the ice back out of it, and then cold plate it. Okay, we just pulled this back out of the freezer. And we're just going to kind of roll it here. Okay, we can see by rolling it here that it's not quite ready. It's thick, it's a little chunky, like a chunky applesauce, just the way I like it. So it's got a few chunks in there, just the way I like it. We're going to let this cool off, and we're going to give this a taste. I do believe it still needs to maybe go another 2 hours. If this had been done in the oven, of course it would be probably done by now, but I really love doing it in the crock pot because it just gives it a great flavor. I'll need to know how much spices to add to this, so I got a little extra out here to cool. And we're just going to kind of tip this on here like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and taste this. I'm going to go ahead and just give this a little taste. It really is starting to thicken up. It's like a little chunky tomato sauce, kind of. Now here we go. We're going to give it a try. It still has, now remember I haven't added all the sugar to it yet. Has a little bit of a bite still from the vinegar, but the sugar will cut that down. I still got to add about 4.5 cups of sugar to this. Right now I'm just testing for spices. Gonna let it keep cooking. Okay, we'll be back in a couple of hours. Okay, I've just added 2 1/4 cups of sugar. That's 3 3/4 cups of sugar so far. And I'm liking the way that's tasting, just like that right there. Now this has been 9.5 hours. Let me get you in close here so you can see what that's supposed to look like. And with the pectin in this will thicken upon standing. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the other 1/4 cup in and make it an even 4, just to make it easy on y'all. And then I'll write the recipe down below. A total of 4 cups of sugar altogether. You could go another 2 cups if you wanted to. The rule of thumb is 1 cup per pound of fruit. But I've got that vinegar in here, and we all really like it to have a little bit of a punch, so, and not to be too sweet. So now I'm going to give this a try here with a clean spoon. Look how nice and dark I got this, almost as dark as I get my apple butter. And you've all seen my apple butter video. I'll post that down there in the show more video. Trust me, I could get this pretty dark. Nice and chunky. Looks good. The pectin in this will help this to thicken upon standing. So I'd say it's almost ready. We'll let that sugar kind of thicken it up a little bit. Stir often, about every half hour to every hour. All right, we're going to give this a try. We do it over the sink. That's that coloring with it in the sun. Still got a little bit of punch from the vinegar though.
It's just right though. It's good.
You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, jars are in the canner. You can also use a stock pot for this. I would probably use about a 14 to 16 quart stock pot. We want to make sure that we have that 1 inch to 2 inches of water over the top of our jars after they've been filled up and all of them sat inside the canner. Okay, so I went ahead and put my jars in here, heated them up, and put in the amount of water that I needed first. Then I cranked it up from warm, I cranked it up to high, and I put the top on. I didn't put any weights or anything on. I just put the top on, and I let this, the water boil. A good boil. Not enough to knock the jars around too much and crack them or anything, or knock them up against each other. Just a boil just enough that I got them nice and sterile for, since this is water bathing, I just want to make double sure that, that I don't put anything into the jar, like botulism. So remember, if you don't put it in, you won't get it out. That's the most likely case scenario. So we're just taking some extra precautions here. Now I've let this come back down just a little bit from a boil. Put it back on low. Let this calm down so it's no longer boiling. Remember, hot food, hot jars. We're going to pull this off. This was nice and hot. Got that. What I do here is I just put my ladle down in here just like this. Hook it on the side. Put in my funnel. And this way, I just sit it on top of a jar like that right there. And this way I can get these nice and clean. I made up this recipe today. And I combined 2 recipes that I've been making for years. And put a few little twists on it. And everybody loved it. I definitely have a new recipe going here. Go ahead, start getting my jars out. It's alright if they're not completely dry, that's fine. Just separate them enough so you don't tip them over when you're moving. Be sure and add a splash or 2 of vinegar to your canner water too, okay? Because that really helps keep the jars clear and it helps sanitize them during all this process. Alright, we've washed our hands really well. Alright, and we have all of our rings lined up and ready to go. When you layer these in, layer them every other one up, one down when you're doing this. And this is just a butter pan, so if anybody asks me where I got this, it's just a butter pan, a stainless steel butter pan that you melt butter in. Just a little chef's pan that I have from Ironclad. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's get started. This is your debubbler, and this also tells you your headroom height. We're going to go with 1/4 inch, okay? 1/4 inch. Now I touched that, so I've got to go get that wet again. I got to go sterilize it again. Here we go. And I could have got this thicker. If I'd done this in the oven and kept the lid off, I could have got this much thicker. But this will thicken up as it cools. And tonight we had it warm. I put it like in a small bowl, about this much in a bowl, and we had it warm for our family cookout. And everyone loved this stuff. They loved it. I'm getting off everything off the sides to make sure I blend in the thick, chunky stuff in here with the smooth stuff. Alright? Alright, you ready to go? Let's go ahead and can this up. Start filling these up. Remember, hot liquid, hot jars. Quarter of an inch. Let it drip. Move on to the next one. Set aside and be very careful. And what I would suggest doing so this stays hot in a large amount, go ahead, let me get this out of your way so you can see better. Go ahead, give it a tap if you don't have a debubber or something like this, but go ahead and debubble. And just be careful because when you push this in, it raises the level. Get all that out of there, that's perfect. It's about 1/4 of an inch, it's about right. Alright, now we're going to dip into some of that vinegar water that our lids are in. We're going to clean that rim. There. Place on your lid. Like an assembly line. Okay? Finger tighten. That's it. The air has to come up inside this and raise this up and down, okay, in order for pressure to be inside the jar. So you don't want to tighten this too tight. Alright? Now on jams and jellies, no tipping, okay? I've told you that many, many occasions, and I'm telling you this now, no tipping. When you pick it up, be sure and pick it up underneath this glass rim right here, because if you pick it up by this ring right here, this can pop off, especially when it comes out of the canner, and it's under pressure in here, okay? It'll just pop that right off. Alright? Isn't that beautiful? Now we're going to take this over and put it in the water bath and keep it hot. I got my hand mitt out of the water and it's hot. Alright? I got some hot water in there. Woo! But I sterilize everything, even my little finger mitt thing. Now these aren't the best thing in the world, but it does hold on to that. That does help. Okay? Somebody asked me what I was using. I'm using this now, so. Okay, we're just going to keep going. I'm going to show you one more time here. And I've been giving my blackberry jam away to everybody. Even the lawnmower guys saw it sitting in here and they're like, my grandma used to make me blackberry jam. And so I've been handing out my blackberry jam to everybody. And you can go on my site and you can get that video. I've already made the video on how to make my blackberry jam, my seedless blackberry jam. Because it doesn't work. I gotta get used to the fact that I own this now because see, there was a lot of stuff on that. And I just make like a little V in my finger right here and bring it around just like that. Then I dip my finger in the water, that hot lid water. Feels good, feels clean. Make sure you only got one lid, not two. Finger tighten, that's it. Okay, that's it. No more than that. There you go. Now, if you, for example, are making more than one jam and you're trying to fill up your canner, be sure and label the top of your jam with a black permanent marker so you'll know what is what. Okay? Okay? No tipping. Let's take it over and be sure and carry it by the little shoulder of the glass here. Make sure that you're up underneath that part of the glass, okay? So that can't slip. That's what that little shoulder's for, okay? Set that glass aside. I won't use that one now. All right, here we go. No tipping. The canner is on. It's on low right now. It's just on low. And we're just going to do our little assembly line here, and we're just going to get going. By the way, I started this, what, at 7:11 this morning when I started peeling the fruit. And then it is now 10:36 at night. So what, 14 hours? I can use just a little bit more. 14 hours this cooked. I'm just saying. I'm a patient person, and I like my butters to be really dark. Now you don't have to go that long. It can taste just as good. I liked mine a little chunky still, so I kept it on the chunky side. It's hot, be careful. I have to keep remembering that I have this thing. I actually got two of them. I got one for a prize, so I'll tell you what I'll do. If you leave a comment below and you tell me what your favorite dish is with pears. With pears, your favorite dish with pears. Or your best, fondest memory of your grandmother making pear jam or pear jelly or something. Pear butter. And leave a message, or you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to debubble it. Now you don't have to debubble these, but I didn't the last one. It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. Not with this stuff. Use the mitt, Jen. Use the mitt. All right, just finger tight. That's not very tight. Right there. Just till it gives. Yeah, we will do that. So if you live in the United States and you put a recipe below and you like and you share this video on your social media somewhere, on Facebook, Twitter, you know, just wherever, then I'll draw a name and we will send out the winner, one winner. We will send out this handy little dandy little thing like this. I have another one, tag still on it. There it is. I'll set it aside. It'll be for the person who I draw the name, and I'll let John draw the name like we usually do. We'll let John draw the name. That'll be fun. Won't that be fun? So, and you can even send us a pear. You can even give us the pear recipe if you want to share it with us. That fond recipe that you may have. A little bit more. Just a little bit more. A little bit more. I like to be at that 1/4 inch when I'm canning these up. Oh, laundry's calling my name. This is hot. This is very hot. See there, got some right there. There. All I know is that little trick where I do the edge with my finger. All I know is it works. Make sure you don't have two lids on here that can keep it from sealing. Just finger tight. Keep going. Remember, under the shoulder. Make sure you got it before you carry it off. And no children or pets around either. And of course, you know that I'm going to keep any leftovers or little extras in the refrigerator tonight for our breakfast tomorrow. Of course, that's what I'm going to do. I didn't spend all this time all day with the anticipation of having it and not have it. And what good is it if you put it on the shelf and you don't eat it, right? That totally defeats the purpose. I hope this makes a lot because this is some of my favorite stuff. Say this recipe I made up, it is delicious. Now let me tell you about making up recipes. I've been canning for 35 years, maybe even 36 years this year. I'll have to figure that out. And I have been raised with canners. And I know what I'm doing. And I've spent a lot of time behind the microscope getting my master's degree in science. I've spent a lot of years behind a microscope, and so has my husband. He's spent even more years than me behind a microscope because he's in the medical field. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to do anything that's going to make my family sick. Alright? When I open a jar of anything, I kind of give it a little sniff. I'll boil it on the stove first if it's a soup or it's a meat or something. I'll cook it through first. Green beans, anything that's like a low acid food. Or I'll check for mold or any kind of mildew smell to it. Remember back in the old days when our grandmothers used to just put wax? That Gulf wax on everything? Yeah. Our grandmothers were rather risky. They just didn't know. It's like anything else. If it didn't make somebody sick, then they just kept doing it. I see people that are still canning in the oven. Very scary. Like I said, I got time behind the microscope. That's very scary. Alright, I'm going to keep going. So, like I said, just enter the contest and maybe you can win this, this cool handy little gadget that I'm using. I just wanted something small that wouldn't take up a lot of room in my drawer, something I could find, easy to store. When I'm hot in the summer canning, that's just not all over my hand, sweating up my whole hand like a rubber glove is. Yeah, that's not, might got a little bit too much in that. A tablespoon out of the hot water. If you get too much in there, and of course you can eat that part. That's good stuff right there. Oh Lord, that's perfect. You got to make it the way that I made it today. It'll become your new favorite recipe. It'll become your new favorite recipe. Now I've got people, when I make up these recipes, I've got people that are posting my recipes, and sometimes they give me credit, or they'll change up my recipe. Now if it's in canning and you're changing up my recipe, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not a seasoned canner, do not change up another canner's recipe. Don't do it. Make it the way they say to make it. Do not change it up. You know, don't exchange things for other things. Don't do it. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't do that. It's not as hot as it was. Just if you're a beginner canner, stick to tried and true recipes. Stick to recipes like in ball canning books, things like that. You know, until you get the hang of the times, temperatures, the product, low acid foods, high acid foods. I mean, it's scary what some of the people are writing me saying that they're canning. I had a gentleman the other day, bless his little heart,
he wrote me and said he canned potato and leek soup. Well, that has to be pressure canned. Potatoes come from the ground with soil on them, so they must be pressure canned. They have botulism spores on them, so they have all kinds of spores on them from the ground. It's soil that gives you tetanus. So yeah, so when he said he water bath canned and he didn't read it, he just made his usual soup, didn't read a recipe or nothing. He just thought it would be cool just to put it in a water bath canner and water bath can it. And I said, well, who gave you that recipe and told you could do that? Nobody. I just see everybody canning up stuff and water bathing. I figured I could do that, and I didn't have a pressure canner. So I said, you need to go back and you need to throw that out right now. So, bless his little heart, he went back and he said 3 of the 5 jars were puffed up, exploded, and stunk really bad in the closet just after about 3 or 4 days of having canned it. Anyway, he wrote me back and he said that he went ahead, there was 3 jars that weren't buckled, so he went ahead and he cooked them up on the stove and fed them to his family anyway. Let me tell you something. They may not have gotten sick, but he risked his family's life doing that. He risked his family's life. I couldn't even fathom doing that. And to feed it to your family just to see if they live through it. Let me tell you a little secret. This is a laboratory fact. If you've got any kind of lab science school at all, you will know this one fact, that it only takes 1 pint, that's twice this amount, 1 pint of botulism to kill every human on the planet. True fact. Look it up. True fact. And if you know anything at all about science, or you've had lab classes or anything like that, trust me, you know that fact. You've learned it. It's one of the first things you learned. 1 pint of botulism can kill every human on the planet. So it just takes 1 spore to kill 1 person in your family. That's how dangerous it is. Now, I'm not trying to scare you away from canning. I'm trying to scare you into doing it properly. Okay? To doing it properly. Now, nothing is sterile, completely sterile. Let's talk about sterilization for a minute. It takes steam, time, and pressure. All right? Steam, time, and pressure, especially for low-acid foods. High-acid foods like jams and jellies and things that's had lemon juice, vinegar like pickles or relish, that's a high-acid food where they've added lemon juice or pectin or, like a citric acid to it. Sugars. They've raised the acidity level, so it's a high-acid food. So that can be water bath canned. However, if it's a low-acid food like meats, green beans, certain vegetables, and even tomatoes, if you don't add the lemon juice to them, they must be pressure canned. Pressure canned, because they are a low acid food. And we'll go over that more later. But I just want to bring this reminder to you, because you cannot water bath can meat, potatoes, or anything that's low, milk, anything. You can't do anything that's a low acid food. You could kill yourself and your entire family. It is not worth it. It's not worth it. So I say, if in doubt, throw it out. If in doubt, throw it out. It's not worth it. Not worth it. If it's making you nervous, don't do it. Let's head over here. Let's crank our heat up. Okay, so I got a little bit too much water in here, so I'm going to kind of bail some of it out here. And you can use this for your lid water. But you'll see, once the jars are full, that you have a lot more water in here than you think. What's good about this thing is you can measure your water level with it as well. A lot of people didn't know that. So we're about 1.5 inches right there. 1.5 inches, that's perfect. Line up our V's right here. We're going to lock our lid on, and we're not going to be using any weights here because this is water bath canning, okay? We're going to do these half pints for 15 minutes. We're going to do pints. If you want to do a little bit larger and go with the pints, you can do that for 22 to 25 minutes, okay? I always take the higher number, and that's why I wrote down 25 minutes. Whenever I do pints, I don't know why, I always add 2 to 3 minutes onto the canning time. I've always done that, and I've never had a problem. So, just in case someone's recipe's off a little bit, I adjust for that. The half pints, I think it was originally 10 to 12 minutes, and I just made it 15, and that's always worked for me with these butter recipes, like apple butter, and of course this peach butter and pear butter. I keep the times, you know, relatively the same for those. All right, because they have a lot of pectin in the fruit, and because they have, you know, even marmalades, they have a lot of pectin in those types of fruits. So anyway, I hope this is teaching you something. And I hope that you leave a comment below. Leave me your favorite pear recipe below, your favorite memory about pears. And I'll have John choose a name. We've shut the timer off. It's now almost midnight. This has been an all-day thing. We've shut the stove off. And now you can hear it still bubbling. We're just letting it kind of calm down on its own. When you're on a glass top, you'll probably want to pick this up and sit this down over here on top of another cooler burner. Sometimes what I do so I don't crack my stove is I'll turn the burner on for like 10 seconds, count to 10, turn it back off. That'll get the burner area just warm enough that I can pick this up and sit on it, especially in the winter time or in the really cold air conditioning air. Just to make sure I don't crack my top. Just something that I do. There we go. Just don't want to scratch up our glass top. I have a really great item for you guys today for Goodwill, by the way, as well. Okay, that just happened to drop because of the pressure. If that comes up and down the lock, that's fine. That's fine. I kept pressure going in here just enough to keep the steam going. 0 pounds of pressure, but it does get some pressure, you know, just a little bit in there to keep it going and keep it boiling. I like water bath canning in my canner when I can. Will work. Just a 16-quart stock pot will work. Okay? As long as you can get those jars covered up an inch or 2 with water, it will work. Okay, so it's sitting in its happy little bath here. It's calmed down. I can hear it calming down. So when we open this, you don't want to burn yourself. So we're going to open this away from us, okay? There we go. We want it to go this direction. It was under some pressure there. There we go. Okay, they're in their happy little bath. We need to go ahead and start taking these out. But my air conditioner's on. But I really need these to seal up quickly. So I'm going to leave them in their happy little bath here for about 2 or 3 minutes. Just kind of get them separated here and get ready to get them to take them out. There we go. Remember, do not sit these in a cool draft. Put these on like a piece of cardboard or a tea towel. I use a tea towel. And what is really great are these foam dishwashing pads. These foam dishwashing pads, if I can show you here, they got just a little bit of foam to them. These are great if you have a really cold granite or quartz style countertop. Okay, we're going to start removing them. Our time is up. Do not tilt. Do not tilt jam. Just going to carry it right over just like this. This is why you don't want kids or animals in the kitchen when you're doing this, okay? And if you want that water off so badly, you can absorb it off with a piece of paper towel. You can just take and lay a piece of paper towel on it just like that right there, and that will absorb it without touching that top. If it's really bothering you that much, it'll just absorb it right up just like that right there. Doesn't matter. Kind of keeps it warm and cozy with it on there. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so we're going to finish bringing them all over. Make sure you grab them by the throat right here, just like I taught you, by that glass neck, not by the lid right here. Oh, there you go. Did you hear that? That is the sound that you want to hear, and oh, that sounds so awesome when you hear it. Yep. Again, you can. I just love doing this. This is my favorite thing to do. And again, if you want, you can kind of just lightly touch and you can wick up some of that water if it really bothers you. It doesn't really bother me because I put vinegar in the water. I'm just doing it to kind of show you how fast you can get rid of that water without touching or pushing on anything. The warm water on top doesn't hurt anything. It actually kind of keeps it in this little cocoon for the time it needs to be there. This one's getting ready to pop. Let's see if we can zoom in on it so you can see it. There it went. Yes, timed that just perfect. Now, what you want to do with these is once you've heard those pings, and you can count the pings, or you can have your kids count the pings, that's fine, but they won't always make a ping. Sometimes they'll suck down softly. It depends on the lid. Nice thing about ball lids is they really do make that nice ping. Golden Harvest and some of the others I've had not always make a really loud ping, and so we as kids, we couldn't always count them when Mom was doing it. But this is my favorite sound. The putt-putt of an antique tractor, the smell of sawn oak or ash or even pine, and the sound canning jars and pinging. Those are my favorite things, my 3 favorite things. And swinging on a country porch, that's right up there too. The smell of my lemon and lime trees that I just got is another favorite thing. I'd never had a lemon or a lime tree, and now I smell that and I love it. I love that smell. It reminds me of my laundry detergent. I'll leave that link below and you can go make your homemade laundry detergent, and you can read the comments below and you'll see that my recipe, people love it. I've won awards for it. People love my homemade laundry detergent. Now, again, I'll leave the link below for my blackberry jam. It is taking its sweet time there, isn't it? And this one right here is just, it's under a lot of pressure. It'll go. It'll go when it goes. There's always the last 2 stragglers. I remember my blackberry jam did that too. Matter of fact, I've only got 7 jars of my blackberry jam left from yesterday because my lawnmower guys walked off with a jar. My mother walked off with a jar. Everybody coming in here knowing that it's canning season, and they're walking off with jars of jams and jellies and things because they know that I start my canning season big time out of the garden with my jams, jellies, my relishes, and my pickles first. And so they come rushing in because that's the stuff they all want. Green beans would be next on that list. And I'd be on camera, but I'm in my pajamas. It's almost midnight. So anyway, it looks like it's not going to do its thing. We saw a couple of them, so that counts. It'll ping here in a minute. I'll hear it probably from my bedroom and go just smile. Smile in my sleep. But while we're waiting for it to ping, we hope that you enjoy coming along for the ride with us as we teach you how to can and as we learn from you as well. We want to thank you for all of your comments. And almost 7 million viewers and across the web, maybe even more than that now. And we're sharing the gospel, we're sharing recipes, we're sharing homesteading and our country life, prepping for emergencies. We do live in an earthquake zone from the Madrid fault. We live in Tornado Alley, and we live near nuclear power plants. So, I mean, we have several prepper scenarios that we practice for every 3 months. Every 4 months this year because we've been so busy. But we're enjoying meeting other YouTube partners. I want to tell everybody hello. John and I have enjoyed meeting people in person. Oh, there it went. Okay, we love you. Be sure and subscribe. We're 30,000 strong. We want to thank you for coming along for the ride. We are really enjoying bringing these videos to you. We're getting such beautiful letters from people and testimonies from people. Plus, we're bringing so many people to Christ. I know that's going to get some thumbs down, just me saying that. I've got 1 subscriber that thumbs down every one of my videos the second that I post it. Why you're subscribed to me, I have no idea. Just to be hateful, I guess. But if I'm sharing Christ with you, And I'm telling you that I love you. I don't care how much you can't stand me for being a Christian. I love you. And I hope that someday you'll get that message and you'll find that void in your heart and you'll fill it with Jesus Christ. That is my hope. That is my hope and my prayer for everyone today. If you haven't felt the love of Jesus Christ, it is the most wonderful, awesome sensation in the world. And that's what John and I are here for. We're here to help you learn the science behind the Bible and to help you learn your scriptures. So anyway, I know a lot of you hadn't heard from us in a while. We've been extremely busy, and I've made some videos on all of that, and I just got to get them edited and uploaded. All right? Honey pear butter. It's the bomb. You got to try this recipe. I made it up, and it is delicious. I mean, everybody in the family says it's the best I've made yet. Blessings.